Okay, so this is your shock. It is a shifter. You're moving, you're saying that it's going to be more expensive to invest in the future. Next. Okay, now this is your board. Now looking at this board, the first one is the production function. As I mentioned just now, here we neoclassical, the most important thing to focus is your production function. So your Y will only move if your K or L or your technology A is moving. If all this not moving, your Y will not move. Okay, so for example, you say Y is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. If you're a Keynesian, you kata government increasekan G, immediately Y akan naik. But just because you're using a neoclassical theory, so this will not have implication immediately on the Y unless your K atau L akan naik. Okay, so in this case, we can see that the first shock is you are expecting higher price to invest in the future. So what you're going to do is you're going to lower your investment. The first move will be investment drop. Okay, I akan drop untuk second equation tu. Okay, so when the I drop in the second equation, as I mentioned just now, there will be no implication on the Y because we are assuming KLA belum lagi berubah. So when Y is remaining the same, so what will going to happen to X minus M? When I drop, kita nak kekalkan Y tak berubah. But I drop. And we know C doesn't move and G doesn't move. So what's going to happen to X minus M? It's going to increase. Okay, so when there is a real devaluation, your X minus M is going to be greater, which shows your export is higher. What happens to your export price? Quantity export naik, so what's going to happen to your export price? It will fall. So your price of export fall. So let's go to your terms of trade. Terms of trade is price of export over price of import. So in this model, we assume that Malaysia is a price taker, so we don't influence the import price. So import price will remain unchanged. Now export quantity going up, so export price will go down. So what happens to the terms of trade? So you see the price of export jatuh with price of import sama, so terms of trade akan jatuh, betul? Okay, terms of trade jatuh. When terms of trade jatuh, it is actually implication dia adalah relative prices. That means whatever prices in Malaysia dengan relative prices dengan whatever prices outside there in the world. So in your now we need to see how this price, relative prices, will influence your wages, will influence your rate of return, then how these two prices in terms of wages and rate of return will impact your capital and labor. Okay, so first we go to your wages, equation number 4, wages. Okay, so you see here, we already know terms of trade going to fall. Dalam that equation tu, which one is the terms of trade? Line number 4, equation number 4, which one is terms of trade? PG over PC. PG is actually price of GDP over PC is price of consumption. Why do I say PG over PC is actually terms of trade? Because kalau kita tengok, kita as a consumer, we buy things, we buy not only domestic things, we also import. So import price is already there in your PC. And what's happening to the price of GDP? GDP, how do you calculate GDP? You plus C, I, G, plus export, tapi you minus import. Import tak ada dalam atas tu, betul? So that's why price of GDP, that is actually reflective of your export price because harga export is already there. Not necessary will be the same. Kadang-kadang dia akan sama exactly. Kadang-kadang is very small. But this is a BOTE model. So it is not a full model. So that's why it will be slightly different. So if you're this side of equation, you want to retain the same, your PG over PC drop, what's going to happen to your FLK over L? That whole thing need to go up, isn't it?
Yep.
That whole thing has to go up. K over L has to go up. If
Go
K
up to
over
HF.
L has to go up, with assumption capital is fixed in the short run, capital is fixed, Y akan jatuh. So Y jatuh, what's going to happen to your consumption? C. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Equation number 6. GDP fall down. What going to happen to C? C is going to fall down. Okay. Now let's look at equation number 3. Equation number 3, you also continue. L goes down because this time we saw L goes down. So the whole ratio will go up. So what does it mean to marginal productivity of capital? So marginal productivity of capital is actually reflective of your rate of return. Marginal productivity of labor is reflective of your real wage, meaning that a labor will be paid according to how much they produce, additional unit they produce. That's why marginal productivity of labor goes up, then your real wages go up. When marginal productivity of capital goes down, your Q over PG will go down, and then your investment will go down. So this will be a second round effect. Investment will go down even further. Okay, let's look into your result, whether it's reflective or not. So you can see your GDP goes down. Here consumption dengan government spending is moving together dalam closure ni. So that's why when C goes down, okay, so now you can see that investment goes down. You see investment go down very significantly, betul? Negative 8.6 because it 2 times is going down. Okay, and then your export memang positif, your import adalah negatif. That is import, of course it will become negative because your GDP already fall down. Go to the previous slide yang boat tu. Dalam ni tak ada import kan? Ada lagi, kalau you nak insert another one more equation for import, you can put import is a function of GDP and preference. So that is another equation if you want to put. So that's why when your GDP goes down, your import also will go down. And also you know that import usually is, investment is usually import incentive. So when your import goes down, your investment goes down, import also will go down. Okay, that's so you can see there is a real devaluation, terms of trade go down, price of GDP go down. So and your labor is employment goes down. So memang dia reflective lah of what the board had said. Okay.